let's start with this. There are boycotts, and we could be up to more than 86 at this point in terms of lawmakers, all Democratic lawmakers, we should say, who are boycotting Netanyahu's speech. Um, you can imagine who some of those are in the House. I'm happy to report that well, he's not my congressman, but he's from Worcester. Jim McGovern not going. Of course, the squad members not going.
Bernie, Warren in the Senate. There is one Republican, Thomas Massie.
I was going to say, is Massie?
Apologies. Yes. Massie will not be going. Mark Takano. I mean, there's many, many more, obviously. In terms of the senators who aren't going to be attending, Bernie, Warren, Murray. We have
Merkley,
three. Berkeley,
Van Hollen.
And who's the sixth? I mean, I imagine Tim Kaine is also not going. He actually boycotted the last time that Netanyahu came, to his credit. So, this is something that was predictable, and I think we're going to continue to see. Look, Kamala Harris does not have a particularly dissentful record when it comes to Israel. She's spoken in front of AIPAC many times. She received a good amount of donations from AIPAC. She has said in the past that she's a stalwart supporter of Israel. I don't know what is in Kamala Harris's heart about Israel. But I do know that Joe Biden is about as bad as you can get on Israel and be a Democrat, A. And B, if Bibi Netanyahu had spoken in front of Congress in September of 2023, you would not have 68 Democrats, 86, 68, I can't remember now.
86.
86. Democrats boycotting the speech. So the politics around Israel have changed dramatically. We have seen Israel kill, a minimum of 40,000 Palestinians in Gaza. The number ultimately is going to be far more. We have that Lancet study that anticipates that anywhere from 150,000 to 250,000 civilians in Gaza will be dead after this. It could be more. We know that there's polio running that they're finding in wastewater now, that nearly 400,000 had to again literally run out of Khan Yunis. Some of the images and the videos are just horrifying.
They gave them minutes, and they're just shuffling this population around and by giving them minutes before saying, like, hey, we're going to bomb or we're going to open fire. And terrorizing them. So that's part of the point, too, is to not just kill as many Palestinians as they can. It's also to strike fear and trauma in the hearts of people.
Extinguish hope.
Without a doubt. And I've seen interviews with doctors who have gone over there talking about small children with multiple sniper fires, and doctors who have been in war zones who say, I've never seen anything like this at all. Just a absolute horror show what has been done to the people of Gaza, and so I can't say with any confidence that Kamala Harris is going to make any meaningful changes to our policy in regards to Israel. I don't think anybody can make that statement right now. I feel pretty confident in saying that I don't think that she is going to be as bad as Biden.
Well, Biden was uniquely horrible. Like, I want people to understand that Peter Beinart wrote in 2020, because this question was asked before, obviously, the active genocide began, if conditioning aid to Israel was, it was when the debates were between, I think, Sanders, Warren, and Buttigieg and Biden at the time. And Biden was the only one who said he wouldn't condition aid to Israel. And he has a long record of ideological Zionism and being maybe the most pro-Israel Democratic senator in D.C. So, with her
he embarrassed Menachem Begin.
Yeah.
If you believe Begin, I mean, he embarrassed Menachem Begin with how bloodthirsty he was relative to Israel's, in this case, it was the assault in Lebanon.
And just call me like on hopium or whatever, but the fact that she was the first administration official to call for a ceasefire on the Edmund Pettus Bridge and then had to walk it back because they edited her speech, the fact that she was leaking to the press, trying to distance herself from the president's policy, which is very difficult to do as VP, saying she was more sympathetic to the Palestinians. I've spoken to at least one person who had previously worked in the administration who says the consensus among people in the State Department of the people who've been critical is that she'll be more sympathetic. The point is that there's nowhere to go but up. And I also think Obama experienced this a bit with Netanyahu because he's such an obvious racist, and when you just interact with him, there's like being a person of color, I think there's a different relationship where you can see Zionism as racism in the way that it is. And there's a reason that the first 24 or so members of the House to call for a ceasefire were all POC. So I'm not saying you could be a Richie Torres too, but I do think there's a fundamental difference in people's experiences, especially when Harris, came from parents who were both immigrants, and her mother talks about the experience of colonialism in India, versus Biden, who romanticizes America, romanticizes Israel. It's just different ideologically, in my view.
I mean, I remember that reminds me of when Peter Beinart was on the program and said, if you really want to know where someone stands on this, a very good proxy is like the 1619 Project. But that aside, too, we should also say that Kamala Harris's chief foreign policy advisor was a close advisor of Obama's, who was the biggest proponent of the Iran nuclear deal, which was in my estimation, Obama's biggest achievement in foreign policy.
Agreed.
And so there is, by thy advisor, one can sometimes divine where they're going. So we'll see. But in the meantime, people are protesting Bibi Netanyahu. He was staying at, was it the Watergate Hotel last night?
Yep.
And apparently he had to change rooms because of this.
Projected his face.
Arrest
Projected
Netanyahu,
his face, arrest Netanyahu on the hotel.
Greg Stoker, I think, shot that, friend of the show, shot that video. Yeah, so credit to him.
Let's also, this is the protest that they're seeing today. This is out on the mall, right? Is that right? The Washington Monument Mall.
And we should say that hundreds of Jewish Voice for Peace activists, I think, were arrested yesterday at the Capitol.
Stop arming Israel now! Stop arming Israel now!
So people are out there and, protesting Netanyahu. I should also just add, before we sort of switch gears here, that Biden's going to be on television tonight at 8 p.m. I mean, if you actually believe that it's really Biden and not some guy in a mask, as a lot of the people on the right wing are claiming.
Including the dental assistant who cleaned my teeth yesterday, asked me if Biden was really dead. She's heard he's been dead for months. I said, I'm not sure.
Clean my teeth and I'll tell you.
Well, regardless, the AI version of Biden that's going to be on your TVs tonight, it will be, we'll get an indication I find it hard to believe that he's giving this speech on the day that Netanyahu speaks, and he won't address this. I mean, it's largely going to be, about, I would imagine, and I haven't seen any reporting on this, but I would imagine about what he intends to complete in his the final months. Well, one of those may be, he thinks he can forge Middle East peace in some fashion. We'll see. But so we'll have a better sense of this. And tomorrow, Emma's going to be doing one of her interviews is going to be on the situation as well. So stay tuned. We will obviously be talking about Bibi's speech in front of Congress. My understanding is that Mike Johnson has said very explicitly, zero tolerance for protests in the House.
How about free speech, buddy?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I just want to shout out my favorite Congresswoman, Rashida Tlaib, quote yesterday on Twitter, Netanyahu is a war criminal committing genocide against the Palestinian people. It is utterly disgraceful that leaders from both parties have invited him to address Congress. He should be arrested and sent to the International Criminal Court. That's my favorite statement on the matter so far.
Good job by her. And with all my more optimism about the direction Harris could go versus Biden in just at least a marginally better direction, Rashida Tlaib and the uncommitted movement will be, and it's good that they're going to try to leverage this moment before the convention to get more concessions. I'm also deeply encouraged by seeing the fact that the UAW, other major unions, the SEIU, which has close ties to Harris, all signed a letter yesterday saying that we should stop sending weapons to Israel. So that is an indication hey, Harris, you got to be responsive to us here.
Yep.
And let me just add, F. Chuck Schumer. I have had problems with him for years, but this is really disgraceful and pathetic. Chuck Schumer was calling for his dismissal as prime minister as recently as January, I believe it was, in some attempt to, I don't know what he was attempting to do. And Chuck Schumer, I guess he's up for re-election probably another 2 years, is it, Bradley, or is it another 4? I think it's 2.
I think 4 because I think it's a
4.
little bit of a longer runway. That's some of the speculation about AOC, right? If she could be angling for it.
I mean, we got the get the checkout banner still.
I'm looking it over.
Is that from 2020?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, that means that he's running again in 2 years, in 2026.
I'm seeing that he's up until 28 actually.
Well, regardless,
wow.
I can't
that's what
wait.
I'm saying. I think that's what
wait
AOC
to
is angling
volunteer
for.
in that campaign. I may have to take a leave of absence, unless he has a pair of handcuffs in his pocket, and when Netanyahu looks to shake his hand, he slaps the cuffs on him, and that's about it.
Oh,
That's my dream.
The Baileys aren't answering their phone anymore.
Psych.
That's right. Next time the Baileys call, I'll answer. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.